The exodus of new people from California, low interest rates, the eviction moratorium. Whether you rent, own, or want to own, it's all impacting inventory. Prices just keep on climbing. So we posed a big question to both lifelong Nevadans and some experts. Can Nevadans afford Nevada?
My name is Kimberly Pittman. I'm 22. I'm Nevada born. I was born in a smaller town up north.
Catherine Cosmides. A single mom. I have a graduate of UNLV. I went to UNLV myself. I have a graduate of UNR. I've lived in Henderson for about 15 years.
Meet two lifelong Nevadans who want to live in Nevada. One wants to buy. The other wants to rent.
I'm worried that I can't afford rent on my own. I feel like it's even harder to meet the requirements. I'd prefer to live alone.
Kimberly's a hairstylist and moved from Reno to Vegas because rent was too pricey up north. Her budget? $1,100 to $1,300.
My home buying search has been going on for 10 months, and I've worked with 3 different realtors.
Catherine Cosmides has lived in this Henderson rental for years. She can't afford to buy it anymore. Her budget?
My limit's $400,000, and all you can find for $400,000 is an older home that needs $50,000 to $100,000 worth of work.
These lifelong Nevadans feel frustrated. Can they still afford to live in the biggest metro areas in Nevada?
It is a growing concern in terms of there's a mismatch between housing prices and rents and incomes.
We tapped 2 experts to look at what's playing out, both in southern and northern Nevada. Brian Bonenfant of UNR and the Center for Regional Studies and John Restrepo of RCG Economics. Both cities feel the pandemic squeeze, low inventories of rentals and homes, the effects of the eviction moratorium, low interest rates sending home buyers into a frenzy, and Californians moving in to gobble up what's left. How affordable is the Reno-Sparks area?
It's becoming our housing crisis of 2020, which is it's not very affordable. And the concern is for housing buyers, the millennials are now reaching that age to buy a house. You basically need 6 figures to get a new or an existing home.
Northern Nevada is less vulnerable. They have higher wages.
Can the average Southern Nevadan afford Nevada?
They can afford in terms of food costs, clothes, those kind of things. It's getting increasingly difficult when we talk about housing costs. So there is an absolute shortage of inventory.
So both these experts help me compare what it costs to live in these metro areas. First, let's tackle homes. The median new single-family home. In Reno, it's high 400s. Vegas, the low 400s. Let's look at the qualifying income. Around $100,000 for both cities. Now, the median family income for those Nevadans, both priced out. But that doesn't mean that families can't afford to buy anything.
There's affordability in there by type of product. So you maybe have to go down to a multifamily or an attached single family to get to that affordability.
The Center for Regional Studies has been working to help Nevada families crunch numbers to find what they can afford. Townhomes and condos are often within reach, though it's not everyone's first choice. What about all those Nevadans who don't want to buy and they just want to rent, especially if you're single? So let's compare now Reno and Vegas. Let's take a 1-bedroom apartment. You're looking at $1,100 to $1,400 across the state. Then let's look at how much your income should be. High 40s to low 50s. And then what single people earn. There's still a gap in both these cities by at least $5,000 from what you can afford to what's actually out there.
Especially if you have 2 wage earners within that household, you can certainly afford an apartment.
What about single folks, single adults, single parents? What's the prospects for them?
That's not very good. Single wage earners, you're falling way off the spectrum.
Prices are not going to go backward. The only answer is greater income and greater wealth. You're not going to find anything particularly affordable unless you move to another city. It's a more affordable town.
Honestly, I would like to just buy a house. Mortgages are pretty much the exact same as rent.
Kimberly is so sick of the rental search, she's planning to buy something she can afford.
Down there, I was able to afford a brand new home that's being built and put a pool in.
Catherine has found exactly what she wants and for what she wants to pay outside Tucson, Arizona.
Everybody who's lived here they just can't afford it. My decision was to move down there, which breaks my heart.
So what does the governor have to say?
We asked him about this issue 3 weeks ago.
It is a difficult situation. We're cognizant of that fact. We're working with the federal government. We need to have more land, hopefully released in some of these areas. But it's a difficult balancing act because we've got a water situation on one hand, we've got a shortage of housing on the other hand.
So, short of moving away or changing careers, let's break down the advice from the experts. First, the renters.
There's no easy answers here. Keep in mind, this might not help everybody, but especially if you're single, roommates are not a bad option here. Also, you can leverage the worker shortage for you. Maybe you can negotiate a higher pay to help you afford the rent. Another option that Brian Bonifant had, if you work remotely even, you can live outside the metro. Maybe it's somewhere cheaper, but still make kind of a wage comparable for the metro and get a cheaper rent.
And that's what so many Californians are doing. They're moving here. So how about homeowners?
So certainly being aggressive with new developments is the key, especially new developments of townhomes, which are more affordable. Getting your name on the list first and foremost. Housing builders are trying to make things even more affordable as they can. And keep in mind, you can buy something. It might not be what you want, might not be your first choice, but you can still afford it, even if it is a townhome or a condo. And John Restrepo says it's not a bad idea to just wait out the year, see what happens in 2022 when all these things start to even out a little bit and see the economy recover.
Let things settle down a little bit. Eye-opening report, and certainly you can understand why so many people are feeling squeezed now.
They are frustrated.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
And it's not just Nevada here. So if you were wondering what's behind the California exodus, so check out the minimum wage in the Golden State. $14 an hour. But to live there, we found these numbers. Californians need $31 an hour to afford a one-bedroom. So that means you have to work 89 hours a week to afford rent on minimum wage.